Police and Winnipeg Police Service, please welcome pipers Maureen McFarlane and Hilda Towersey as they lead our dignitary party and the competing teams from across Canada into the Pembina Curling Club. And thank you to the members of the Pembina Junior Curling Club for their assistance tonight as flag and placard bearers. Maureen and Hilda are members of the Pipes and Drums of Manitoba. And now here come our teams. Ladies and gentlemen, there is only one reason ever to delay a ceremony like this, and it is for the ancient tradition of paying the piper, and I'm quite prepared to do so. That may be the single greatest tradition in civilized history. My name is Resby Coots. It is a privilege for me to have been asked by the Pembina Curling Club to help with this opening ceremony. Frankly, they offered me a banquet at the end of the week, a free meal and a microphone. With my ego, I wasn't going to turn it down. So, the competing teams out here cannot hear you in the club room, but they can see you. Please show them once again your congratulations on being included here in these championships. I'm going to ask our dignitary party to be seated. Welcome to the 2022 Canadian Masters Curling Championships. A few months delayed thanks to COVID, but that's given our host committee a little more time to prepare in the hopes they can make this an extra special event for our guests from across Canada. 2 quick orders of business before we start. A reminder to all teams, we want you to stay in the ice area after this opening ceremony is completed so we can get some group photos for the historical record. And then you're all invited to a reception upstairs in the club lounge, and everyone else in the building is invited to be part of that as well. On behalf of all curlers and curling fans here, Pembina Curling Club acknowledges we're assembling on Treaty 1 territory on the ancestral lands of the Anishinaabe, the Cree, Ojibwe, Dakota, and Dene peoples, and the homeland of the Red River Métis, the birthplace of the Métis Nation. And we acknowledge that across Canada we live, we work, and we play on the many treaty territories as well as unceded ancestral lands of the First Peoples. We respect the treaties that were made on these territories as they are an important reminder of the obligations to and shared responsibilities with Indigenous people. We acknowledge the harms and mistakes of the past and are committed to improving our relationships with the Indigenous community. And we believe that all sport, including curling, can contribute to the healing and decolonizing journey we all share together. I'm going to ask our police escort to bring our national anthem singers to the podium. And as they do so, I introduce to you RCMP Corporal David Ogunbemi, D Division RCMP Community and Indigenous Policing Services, Crime Prevention Unit, 29.5 years of service with the RCMP. And with the Winnipeg Police Service, Aaron Burke, Detective Constable, 17-year member of WPS, currently a detective in the Major Crimes Unit. Gentlemen, could you bring our singers to the podium, please? Our anthem, and please rise if you're able, remove your hats. Our national anthem will be sung by representatives of the Winnipeg Police Service Choir, Sylvia Schroeder and Alana Penner.
In all of us, command.
Absolutely beautiful. Thank you very much, Sylvia Schroeder, Alana Penner. It is the 75th anniversary of the Pembina Curling Club, and this year of celebration has already been made special by a club gala where they honored past champions, by the fact that just 2 weeks ago, teams from this club won both the Manitoba men's and women's club championships, and by the fact that we've been asked to host this special gathering of the best age 60 and better curlers in the nation. Among others, this club has two important reputations in Manitoba curling: a reputation for having a strong junior program and volunteers dedicated to development of the future of the sport, and a reputation for great hospitality, which you are going to enjoy this week. On behalf of the host committee, I want to say a big thank you to the sponsors who are listed on the signboards throughout the club, and in particular, I want to acknowledge Manitoba Sport, Culture and Heritage and Princess Auto for significant contributions. Thanks also to the O'Grady Cup trustees, who have arranged to have the longest running active trophy in Manitoba curling on display here this week. And those of you from Eastern Canada, don't say I said it was the longest running trophy in Canada. It's not, we know that, but it's the longest running one in Western Canada. Certainly it's one of the most magnificent trophies in the sport. It's upstairs in the club room. Be sure to have a look at it and look at its history while you're with us this week. It is my privilege now to introduce and ask to bring greetings the Honourable Andrew Smith, the MLA for Lagimodiere and Minister of Sport, Culture and Heritage.
Well, good evening. It's a tremendous honor to be here tonight, and I'd like to first of all say on behalf of Premier Heather Stephenson and all my colleagues of the Manitoba Legislature, it's an honor to be here, and of course I want to welcome all out-of-town guests here to Manitoba. I think I'd be remiss if I didn't congratulate the Winnipeg Blue Bombers for clinching the Grey Cup finals here. Congratulations to the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. No offense to my good friends from British Columbia to my left here, but congratulations to them. I'd like to extend a warm welcome to our visiting athletes, their family supporters, and all those present here this evening as we kick off the 2022 Canadian Masters Curling Championships. It's wonderful to come together once again to celebrate an exciting week of competition that will crown this year's Masters champion. We are thrilled to host this event in our province for the first time since 2011. As I'm sure many of you know, curling is a sport that is near and dear to all Manitobans' hearts. Whether at the local club or on the world stage, our passion for curling is clear and undeniable. There is no doubt that this championship will be a demonstration of a game at its finest. Many of the athletes competing in this championship also compete internationally. The fans are certainly here for a treat. Curling truly brings us together as Manitobans and as Canadians in general. It is a sport that is enjoyed by people of all ages and experiences in rinks across the province. This week is an opportunity to come together in a spirit of friendly competition while celebrating our collective love for the game. I hope that everyone involved will have a chance to reunite with old friends and make new connections while enjoying their time here in our city of Winnipeg. I'd like to recognize and thank the host committee and the Pembina Curling Club for organizing this event featuring Canada's most accomplished curling masters. Thank you as well to the dedicated volunteers, officials, organizers, and of course the sponsors. This event would not be possible without your hard work and financial support. To all the athletes, your continued dedication to curling excellence is an inspiration to everyone. Good luck to the teams, and extend my best wishes for everyone for a terrific 2022 Canadian Masters Curling Championship. Let's give everyone a round of applause here. Thank you. Merci.
You'd never know that the minister was disappointed by having to come here. He received the invitation from Premier Stephenson, who said, Mr. Smith, as sport minister, we'd like you to represent us at the Masters. And he said, well, Madam Premier, it's actually several months until the golf season, but I'd love to go to the Masters on your behalf. So, hence a little disappointment with being here tonight. The Member of Parliament for Winnipeg South Centre, Jim Carr, has sent his regrets of being unable to attend tonight, but he has asked that I pass along his greetings and his best wishes to all of the competitors. Just over 2 weeks ago, the City of Winnipeg elected a new City Council. We are pleased to have with us this evening, on behalf of Mayor Scott Gillingham and the Council, a great friend of curling, Brian Mays, Councillor for St. Vital Ward.
Slightly shorter than the minister. I'll adjust that. I'm delighted to be here. Thank you to Resby. And yes, on rehearsing my remarks on the way over, I had to catch myself because I was using the old mayor's name, but we have a new mayor, Scott Gillingham. So it's the first event where I'm representing the new mayor, Gillingham. My ward, delighted to be here. I've been to many curling events over the years. In fact, I told Resby he could go to the bar while I was talking. He's heard most of my material over the years. But my ward is St. Vital in the city of Winnipeg. That may ring a bell to a curling community as the home of the St. Vital Curling Club. You don't actually have to pass a test about curling to be the St. Vital City Councillor, but I would have passed that test if it had ever been given. I did curl briefly out of the St. Vital Curling Club. Luckily, it was at the same period as Kathy Gauthier. Luckily for the sport of curling, she continued curling and I did not continue curling, so that worked out wonderfully for all concerned. But it's always been a sport I've followed and enjoyed playing and watching. My father played, my sons played out of the St. Vital Curling Club. But I'm also delighted because I've hit 60 this year, so it's good to be in a crowd of fellow masters. They didn't adjust the city council rules, unfortunately, for me, but I have been re-elected recently and very pleased to be back representing St. Vital. I mean, curling's been a very big part of Winnipeg culture. If you have time, you can go around. There's Jennifer Jones Way by the St. Vital Curling Club. There's a huge mural on the side of the building, and on the other side, representing the 2 gold medals won by St. Vital curlers. Resby, what's that other Manitoba club with multiple gold medals? Oh no, there isn't one. Sorry, there isn't one. Sorry. But we've had great success out of the St. Vital Curling Club, and very pleased to be here today. Also, this past year, one of my colleagues, Councillor Rowlands, named honorary Don Team Do-Good Way, right by the granite, to recognize the great success of the Do-Good team in the early 70s. And I knew I'd been watching this sport a long time, because somebody in that ceremony got off a Heck Gervais joke, and I actually got the reference, so I realized I've been watching this sport for over 50 years and enjoying it. So I'm very pleased and honored to be here tonight. And a final note that I want everyone to promise. I think the last time I did this, it was at the Canadian Postal Curling Championship. It turned out to be the last ever Canadian Postal Curling Championship. So I'm hoping all of you are back again next year, wherever this championship is being held, and I think this has a long lifespan ahead of it. So very pleased to be here on behalf of Mayor Gillingham. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Mays. Folks, you'll have figured out from that St. Vital comment that he doesn't have to get elected in this ward. I will also tell you he was not the least bit disappointed by the invitation to be here tonight. After the election 2 weeks ago, he really didn't expect to ever be invited to represent City Council anywhere again. In our dignitary party this evening are the 3 co-chairs for this championship event, Rick Sproul, Eleanor Castles, and Hilton Wood. Please thank them and their entire volunteer committee for their efforts so far and through the week ahead. And now, on behalf of the Pembina Curling Club and the host organizing committee, I ask Pembina Curling Club President Scott Ross to come forward.
Are you that much taller than me, Resby? Thank you, Resby. Everybody else stole most of my thank yous, but I prepared this speech and also I got to do it. So good evening, everyone, and again, welcome to the Pembina Curling Club. For this, the 2022 Canadian Masters Championships. As president of Pembina Curling Club for this 2022-23 season, I bring the warmest of greetings from our members and our board of directors. I would like to thank our honored guests for attending these opening ceremonies, and I would also like to thank all of our event sponsors for their generous support. I would like to welcome all curlers from across Canada. Thank you for making the trip. I'd like to thank you all again for coming, who have come to Winnipeg for this long-awaited Canadian Masters Championships. Welcome to the spectators to this incredible event, sure to be marked with great shot making and good sportsmanship. As I alluded to, the last Canadian Masters was held in Saskatoon in 2019, and the 2020 event scheduled for New Brunswick was postponed at the 11th hour due to COVID-19. We attempted to host the event in 2021, but yet again, COVID caused another postponement. Needless to say, we are very excited to be hosting the Canadian Masters at the Pembina on this, our 75th year. And as everyone else has already mentioned, none of this would be possible if it were not for our amazing group of volunteers. I must give special thanks to the organizing committee, in particular the co-chairs, Eleanor Castles, Rick Spruill, and Hilton Wood. Please stand up. These three folks have had the longest short-term appointment as chairs of a committee than you will ever imagine. And they have done an immeasurable amount of work to make this 2022 Masters a reality. Thank you again very much for coming, and good curling to everyone.
Thank you, Scott. I just realized as Scott asked our co-chairs to stand, you folks upstairs couldn't see them. We need one of those European-style mirrors up in the roof so they could have seen them. But trust me, they're all dressed up and looking real good. Assembled before you are the 26 teams from across Canada. Clearly, they are experienced players. Just as clearly, they're excited to be here to compete for a Canadian title. Some have won this event. Some have won other Canadian championships. Most are chasing the first Canadian championship in a career which began as much as half a century or more ago. I'm excited to be able to watch them this week ahead, and it is my honor to introduce them to you now. From Alberta, the team skipped by Diane Foster. Welcome Adele Williamson, Karen Morrison, Sandra Jenkins, and the skip from Alberta, Diane Foster. And the men's team from Alberta, skipped by Mickey Pendergrast, Wilf Edgar, Randy Ponich, Gary Jensen, and skip Mickey Pendergast from Alberta. We're going to flow now. It's going to work great. From British Columbia, welcome the team skipped by Penny Shantz, Janet Suter, Shirley Wong, Cindy Curtin, and skip Penny Shantz from British Columbia. And the men's team, skipped by Wes Craig, Victor Gamble, Tony Anslow, Ron Schmidt, and skip Wes Craig from British Columbia. From Newfoundland and Labrador, skipped by Gary Oak, Richard Brake, Francis Walsh, Gary Alcock, and skip Gary Oak from Newfoundland and Labrador. From New Brunswick, skipped by Nancy Porter, Debbie McLeod, Louise McCarthy, Valerie Lang, Jill Logan, and skip Nancy Porter from New Brunswick. And the men's team, skipped by Mike Dobson, Daniel McDonald, Claude Moore, Phil Leger, Bill Gates. Really? All right. And skip Mike Dobson from New Brunswick. From Northern Ontario, skipped by Peggy Taylor, Jocelyn DeGagne, Jacqueline Ortley, Tracy Stasiak, and Peggy Taylor skipping the team from Northern Ontario. Now folks, the men's team from Northern Ontario, clearly one of the more inexperienced teams in the competition. The only one that felt the need to bring a coach, so an indicator that they felt they needed some help along the way. They're coached by Arnold Asham. Welcome from Northern Ontario, skipped by Al Hector, Bruce Monroe, Frank Morissette, Eric Herndon, and skip Al Hector from Northern Ontario. From the Northwest Territories, skipped by Dallas Weaver, lead Dave Weaver, Mike Borden, Noel DeMarc, and skip Dallas Weaver from the Northwest Territories. And I gotta tell you, Mr. Weaver and team, you couldn't have been paired with a better guy than Russ Hampton. From Nova Scotia, skipped by Jocelyn Nix, Kim Garby, Andrea Saulnier, Jill Alco Holland, and Jocelyn Nix skips the team from Nova Scotia. The men's team is skipped by Dwayne Green, Mike Topley, Larry Higgins, Stephen Johnston, and skip Dwayne Green from Nova Scotia. And we welcome the teams from Ontario. The women's team skipped by Jan Carwardine, lead Sandra Thane, Wilma Morrison, Judy McClellan, and skip Jan Carwardine from Ontario. And the men's team skipped by Al Hutchinson, Dave Halliburton, Bruce Cox, Kevin Daniel, and skip Al Hutchinson from Ontario. From Prince Edward Island, skipped by Shirley Berry, Linda Fairhurst, Gloria Turner, Sharon McKinnon, and skip Shirley Berry from Prince Edward Island. And from Prince Edward Island, skipped by Bill Hope, with a little help from a local spare, Gord McKay, subbing in with Prince Edward Island for the week, David Murphy, Peter Murdoch, and skip Bill Hope from Prince Edward Island. And we welcome the teams from Quebec, skipped by Catherine Derrick. Good to have a Scottish name to start with. Chantal Ouellette, Chantal Gadois, and Paul Guillemette, along with their skip, Catherine Derrick from Quebec. How'd I do, ladies? Did I do okay? One more to come. Also from Quebec, skipped by John Stewart. I'm told if his people had moved west a century ago, I would be introducing Peter Spooner. However, I am pleased to introduce to you Pierre Cuillerier. Regine Lewis, Daniel Gregoire, and John Stewart skipping the team from Quebec. We welcome the teams from Saskatchewan, skipped by Beverly Krasowski, Trudy Dykes, Linda Delvers, Debbie Gillespie, and skip Beverly Krasowski from Saskatchewan. And the men's team, skipped by Gord Bell, Gord Fritzler, Rod Slatnick, Morrill Elric, and skip Gord Bell from Saskatchewan. And this one might be my last test, we're not sure. From the Yukon, welcome skip Ev Pasishnik. Valerie Whalen, Joan Harvey, Cindy Burney, and skip Ev Pasichnik. And the men's team is skipped by Gord Zeeland, Clarence Jack, Robert Holmes, Dale Enzenauer, and skip Gord Zeeland from Yukon. And I suspect throughout the crowd, these group of curlers, there may be other native Manitobans, but I specifically want to acknowledge that Clarence is from Strathclair, Manitoba, and welcome home. In the Masters format, when there are odd numbers of teams on each side, in order to round the draw, there is a host team invited. I prefer to call them a wild card team. That seems to be the popular descriptive term these days. So the wild card team from Manitoba is from the Hamiota Curling Club, skipped by Sandra Cowling, Wenda Turner, Janine Skaman, Jackie Brooks, Sheila Gregory, and skip Sandra Cowling, the wild card Manitoba team. And the wildcard Manitoba team on the men's side from the Winnipeg Granite Curling Club, skipped by Mark Franklin, Blair Smith, Greg Zamansky, Barry Campbell, Jamie Hay, and skip Mark Franklin, the wildcard Manitoba team. And now Team Manitoba from the East St. Paul Curling Club, skipped by Judy Caldwell, Debbie Paulson, Leslie Brown, Donna Smiley, and Wendy Nicolak, along with their skip, Judy Caldwell, Team Manitoba. And folks, you already know that the committee has no idea what I'm going to say next. So what I'm going to say is that I am from Melita, Manitoba. To the best of my knowledge, no one before this week has ever represented the town of Melita and the curling club there in a national curling championship. So I'm pleased to introduce from Melita and nearby communities, but they represent the Brandon Curling Club, Gary Barker, Reg Warren, Terry Warren, Brian Barker, and Skip Murray Warren, Team Manitoba. That does conclude our introductions. Show them your appreciation one more time, please. And now I have one more very special team to introduce, and it is the team of special individuals who will throw our ceremonial opening stone. Please welcome Pembina Curling Club President Scott Ross and Pembina Women's Curling Club President Paige McLeod, who will be the sweepers. And then please welcome veteran curler and Pembina Curling Club member, still active on the curling ice, Peter Ray. Peter started curling here at Pembina Curling Club in 1964. That is just short of 60 years ago. It's impolite to mention his age, but I believe he will be 90 in his 60th year of membership. He's an honorary life member of the club. He was instrumental in starting Masters Curling here and has been on the executive of that group since the outset. Peter Ray is the third member of our team. And also please welcome Leslie Fanning, a dedicated longtime Pembina Women's Club member. She started curling at Pembina in 1982. She has played in 3 different leagues here at Pembina and is a past president of all 3. She's an honorary life member of Pembina Ladies Curling Club in the Pembina Ladies. In keeping with political correctness, I suggested the 2 of them should both throw an opening rock. That wasn't going to fly. We wondered about doing rock, paper, scissors, but that was a generational issue for the 2 of them. And so we decided to use the traditional, we'll flip a coin, if it's heads, Leslie will throw. If it's tails, Peter will hold the broom. Oh no, I'm sorry, Peter, if it's tails, Peter will throw, so just a minute. Leslie will throw, Peter will hold the broom. The sweepers will be Scott Ross and Paige McLeod for our official ceremonial opening rock. And no pressure whatsoever, Leslie, but I have seen these ceremonial rocks thrown in the forefoot without sweeper's aid, but rarely. Once again, a perfect draw to the button. Our sweepers, Scott Ross, Paige McLeod, our holder, Peter Ray, and Leslie Fanning with that outstanding delivery. I suspect if we wait a moment, Leslie will get here, there should be a picture. Take your time, though. Please. Well, folks, I promised the committee we'd be done at 20 to the hour. I've got 2 minutes to kill. That does conclude our opening ceremony. Thank you all for being with us. Obviously, thank you to our teams for coming to Winnipeg to compete in this competition, and we wish you all good luck, reminding you that the curling starts tomorrow morning. A reminder, please stay for the reception upstairs, and a reminder to the teams, please stay on the ice for the photo. Our photographer is 1984 world champion Connie Laliberty, and just as she did when she was on control on the ice, she knows exactly what she wants, and she will tell you, please assemble at the far end under the banner and follow Connie's instructions. Right, Connie? There you go. Now I'd ask our pipers to pipe off our dignitary party, and thank you once again to Hilda Towersey and Maureen McFarland. Okay, this is going to get difficult. We're going to ask the ladies, the women, to go to that end for the photos, the men to come this end, or just